All right, guys, we're going to talk about indoctrination. And just bear with me. How do you get young men to run into gunfire? You're getting shot at, and we get young men to run towards the direction of gunfire. I'm specifically talking about my Marines. And people have asked me that over the years, like, how do these infantry guys do it? Well, they're, slightly insane in a beautiful way, and I absolutely love them for that. There's not another fighting force in this world that is like the Marine infantry, and I'll take that stance to the grave. But how do they get it done? From boot camp, they are indoctrinated with this concept of being a warrior, that what our mission is. Well, even the basic Marine, don't get your panties in a wad. Just the regular Marine, not an infantry Marine, just all the Marines that come through recruit training are all taught with the same doctrine. They're all trained the same way. And then it goes on to their field to where they're learning different tactics and they're doing training and all this kind of stuff, right? When I got into my very first firefight in Iraq, it was not a shock to me. It was not really surprising. I didn't feel any different. There wasn't a ton of adrenaline that kicked off. And I'm speaking completely personal, right? I had trained for so many years prior to that event that when it happened, I just reacted. I just did the thing because of training. The redundancy of training, the redundancy of, all of the different, environments that we were put in, the exercises that we were put in, the force on force stuff that we did. And then one of my platoon sergeants that just literally just drove us into the dang grave with training. No matter, do it again, repetition. All right. So when it happened, we just reacted the same way. It was no different than any other training environment. It was no different than any training environment. I just reacted. I mean, we did training where we had, wounded casualties and we had to react to that and oncoming fire and all this kind of thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch happen. It really is like controlled chaos. It's almost like an orchestra. It really is a beautiful thing. And I know that might sound weird to some people, but it is. So I look at that model, right? How do you take young men to run into gunfire, to fight a battle, to fight an enemy, right? And the way you do that is through repetition and through training. So I take the same concept. Now we're going to pivot hard into our country here. I take the same concept and I look at young people, I look at the school system, I look at our children, and I say, why are our children not prepared for the world? Why are they not being educated for the world? Why are they not being prepared for what life has to offer them? Everybody here has gone through some sort of school, and either graduated high school or gotten a GED, like myself. Why are they not preparing young people for the world? And as we know, the public school system has a huge failure, right? And but is it a failure? Is the public school system a failure, or is it doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing? So if you remember, nobody's going to remember, but you're going to have to go look this up. Child labor laws became, I think it was early 1900s. And then that's when the public school system began, right? And you got to think about this. All of this was designed. We took children out of factories. People say, well, that's a good thing. They were abusing children. There were children in factories, and I'm sure that was the case. But those children were learning how to work, and I'm not condoning child labor by any means. But I want you to take a look at what happened. So then we took children out of the workforce and away from their parents, and we put them in public school system. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about the Rockefellers or John Rockefeller. I think he was kind of an evil genius, because if you look at it and you go, he said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. This is in regards to public school system. And then another quote from one of his advisors, the Rockefeller Foundation, Rockefeller University, and General Education Board. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or science. We are not to raise up among them authors, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for the embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, statesmen, or whom we now have ample supply. So we have plenty of those. We have plenty of those people. We don't need them. What we need is workers. We need workers in the factory. We need sheep. So there's a reason why. We all ask the question, why are they not preparing? My PT was making a joke. He said, how much have you used photosynthesis? How many times you talk about photosynthesis in school? And then how many times have you used that in real life? But when have you talked about your credit score, getting a loan, mortgage, compounding interest, APRs, things that are going to, resume building, how to communicate with other people, personality types, When have you learned about any of that? You don't. You don't learn about any of that, because that is the stuff that gets people to think. That gets people to think for themselves. Those things get people to make better decisions, to be producers instead of consumers. Schooling and education are two different things. Education is about exploration and learning how to think. But schooling, which is what our public school systems are a part of, is about training and teaching our children what to think. And we've seen that more so now than ever. So my question is, when are we going to take control? When are we going to take responsibility for our own lives? When are we going to take responsibility for our children's lives? Because if we take responsibility, then that responsibility now becomes on us to be successful, on us to learn. If you look at the most successful people in the world, and some of the, in this day and age, how many of them are college dropouts? How many of them are high school dropouts? And all these people with MBAs and these different degrees that are having a hard time getting a job, who do they work for? The people that are high school dropouts, the people that are college dropouts. That said, I don't like what you're teaching. I think I have a better way, and I'm going to go figure it out. And I'm not saying those people haven't failed over the years, because it takes failure to be successful. But just look at that. Look at the people that are successful versus the people that got a degree, have student loans, and are working for somebody who is a high school dropout. For all intents and purposes, I was a high school dropout. Yes, later on I joined the military and got the opportunity to go to school and pick some things that benefited me that I wanted to apply in. But are they required? Am I utilizing those to the benefit to get a job? No. I went out and sought information, specific information that was going to level up my life. No difference than hiring a coach, no difference than hiring a business mentor or somebody that has the information that's going to help you solve the problems. But see, that was me taking ownership of my success. That was me taking ownership of the knowledge that I wanted to gain. The reality is, with Rockefeller, he wanted to control an environment. So he used his power to create a system that he could create workers, he could create sheep, he could create a flock. And then he went into, and this is going to get really crazy, and this maybe is a separate video, but he looked at all the medicinal purposes of herbs and different things that were healing people, right? And we've pretty much, for the most part, lost how they ran medicine, 100 years or more, before. Because what he did was he actually invested all this medication, all this research into what medicinal herbs did, and then how to create them synthetically. And then anything else was propaganda. This is the medicine. Take the pill. Get in line. Go to school. Then go to college. Take a loan. Go to school and pay your student. Then get a job. Work for 30 whatever years. Pay your Social Security. And then at 65 and a half, you can start living your life. Is that serving you, or is that serving a system? It's questions you can ask yourself. I challenge you to take control. And if you don't know how to take control, then find somebody that's going to help you take control. Hell, get in with the Agoge. We'll help you take control. We want to set you up for success. We want to break the chains of the flock. We want you to break the law of averages, break out of mediocrity, and you serve your family in the best way possible. This whole fat, sick, and nearly dead bullshit has got to go. The excuses have to go. Well, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and all this little system. I mean, the fact that you can get $100,000, what is it, Mark? Like, you can get, what, 100 grand easy for a student loan, right? But if you wanted to go get 10 grand out of the bank, how hard? It ain't going to happen, is it? It ain't going to fucking happen. So that's it, guys. That's the video. There's a link below. If you want to break the chains, get in with the Agoge. We'll help you. Other than that, never quit, never surrender. Always keep moving forward.